Europe cannot understand what has happened to the British. They arrived in Texas expecting heat, excess, and every warning they had heard back home, yet many left defending the state like honorary cowboys. What did Texas give them that London, Paris, or Berlin no longer could? Was it the freedom, the generosity, or the strange feeling that everyday life could still be exciting? One visit was enough to turn skepticism into a full-blown Texas obsession. Texas wins Britain. Texas does not greet British visitors politely. It grabs their expectations by the collar, drops a plate of brisket on the table, parks a pickup truck beside it, and asks why they ever believe the warnings. During the 2026 World Cup, many Europeans may arrive in America expecting tension, disorder, and the gloomy picture repeated across television panels and social media feeds. Then they reach Texas and discover a place so welcoming, entertaining, and unapologetically alive that returning home begins to feel like leaving the party before the band has finished playing.
The English have arrived in Dallas and Texas. You're about to find out why Brits are so obsessed with you. Every time I open TikTok, I see an Englishman in a cowboy hat, learning how to line dance, having the time of his life. And I am not surprised, because for us, Texas is more than a state, it's a mythology. Before most of us met in America.
What is the biggest difference between Texas and the UK, or what is the thing that you love the most about living in Texas now? And one of the biggest differences is the people. Like, I cannot get over how friendly everyone is here. It's so different to the UK, specifically London. London is like a dead city. Like, it is so hard to make friends in London.
The fascination is easy to understand because Texas offers something increasingly rare in crowded European cities: room to breathe without apologizing for occupying space. In central London, drivers squeeze through narrow streets built long before anyone imagined an SUV, while parking can feel like paying rent for a rectangle of pavement. Texas answers with multi-lane highways, broad parking lots, enormous vehicles, and supermarkets that appear capable of swallowing a small British town without disturbing the produce section. Even an ordinary grocery trip feels less like an errand and more like America presenting evidence in its own defense.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, that's wonderful. If I could have this at home.
Got some brisket. I'll tell you what, September is underrated.
Pretty good?
Yeah, it's good.
Then the food arrives, and every confident opinion about American cuisine suddenly needs legal representation. British portions are usually measured with restraint, while Parisian dining often values elegance, pacing, and plates arranged with the precision of a museum exhibit. Texas barbecue has no interest in behaving like an exhibit. Brisket arrives with ribs, cornbread, pickles, macaroni and cheese, and enough smoked meat to make the table look as though Thanksgiving invited the Super Bowl over for lunch. The surprise is not merely the quantity, because generous servings can still be forgettable. What changes minds is the tenderness, the smoke, the crisp bark, and the uncomfortable realization that a plastic fork may have just defeated years of European confidence.
What's your favorite?
And I'm regular glazed, bro. I don't got time to lose no more keys.
Okay.
Where y'all from?
Well, we're from
London.
the UK, yeah.
Y'all far from home.
Ollie, nice to
really?
meet you.
Hospitality completes the conversion. The international image of America often emphasizes arguments, danger, and division, yet ordinary Texas life keeps producing smaller scenes that television rarely finds dramatic enough to broadcast. Doors are held open, strangers begin conversations, drinks may be paid for, and visitors can receive a heavy police challenge coined from someone they met only minutes earlier. In Berlin or Stockholm, respecting personal space is a form of courtesy. In Texas, courtesy may walk across the room, shake your hand firmly, ask where you're from, and make sure you leave with a story.
So I'm feeling very sad because it is our last night in Texas tonight. We are in a motel. I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone in this great state. The hospitality from everyone from start to finish.
4th of July, now the Super Bowl!
That difference explains why British visitors seem almost irrationally enthusiastic. Texas does not resemble home, and that is precisely the attraction. It offers scale without embarrassment, friendliness without complicated ceremony, and confidence without asking permission from anyone nearby. The heat may feel like standing behind a restaurant oven, and I-35 may tighten every muscle in the driver's body, but even those complaints become part of the affection. Europeans were told America would disappoint them. Texas instead hands them free chips and salsa before they have even ordered, then watches quietly as the argument collapses. Courtesy becomes addictive. The most dangerous thing in Texas may be the moment visitors realize generosity is built into the ordinary day. Nobody announces it with fireworks, nobody asks for applause, and nobody waits until a camera appears. A basket of warm chips lands on the table, salsa follows behind it, and before the menu has been properly opened, Texas has already begun feeding people who have not spent $1.
The woman says, "Oh no, the man in the hat already paid for your beers." So we go up to shake his hand. We think it's probably the guy in the big cowboy hat, and he's shaking our hands. That is a firm handshake, and it's a proper Texas hospitality.
Between all of the love, the welcoming, the comments, the recommendations from that video, and just meeting Houstonians, how nice everyone has been, how welcoming everybody has been, how hospitable everybody has been. We've just felt super welcomed, and we have nothing but amazing things to say about Houston hospitality.
That small gesture explains more about America than a dozen heated television debates. Many Europeans arrive after hearing that American life is cold, commercial, and ruled entirely by money. Yet Texas restaurants casually give away the first round of food as though the kitchen has personally decided that hunger is bad manners. The bill will come later, but the welcome arrives first. That order matters because it changes a customer from a transaction into a guest. Across Europe, restaurant customs follow different traditions rather than inferior ones. In Italy, many establishments charge a clearly listed caperto, often a few euros per person, covering the table setting and bread. In major British cities, a discretionary service charge of around 12.5% is common, especially in London. French cafes may offer elegant portions and slower meals built around conversation. Texas approaches hospitality with the subtlety of a marching band entering a library, yet somehow the confidence feels charming rather than intrusive.
People here are so kind and friendly. Like, I'll be out in public, in line, waiting to order, and the person in front of me will just randomly turn around and ask me how my day's going. Like, it's so cool that you can start a conversation effortlessly here.
Okay. They've just brought an extra table and put it onto our table. Surely that is not the normal occurrence in an American restaurant.
The beautiful hospitality that I've received here in Texas and Oklahoma. The people are so lovely. Like a random stranger just bought me a pie.
The addictive part is not really the free chips, it is the sensation that abundance has been arranged for ordinary people, not reserved for luxury travelers. Salsa keeps returning, drinks are often refilled, servers check whether everything tastes right, and the meal seems designed to remove small worries before they become requests. In a world where airlines charge for seat selection and hotel minibars treat bottled water like jewelry, that kind of easy generosity feels almost rebellious. Then comes the comic consequence. Visitors keep eating because refusing warm chips requires the discipline of a Navy SEAL, while the basket appears to regenerate whenever nobody is watching. By the time brisket arrives, the entire table has been defeated by politeness. Texas has somehow turned courtesy into an appetizer and hospitality into a competitive event. That is where the emotional pull becomes stronger. People do not fall in love with a place because every road is perfect or every afternoon feels cinematic. They become attached when daily life repeatedly makes them feel included. A stranger holds the door, another person starts a friendly conversation, and a restaurant feeds the table before anyone has decided what to order. None of those moments looks historic, but together they create the America that distant headlines usually miss. British visitors are not losing their minds over Texas because they have forgotten home. They are responding to a culture that expresses welcome in a louder, warmer, and more generous way than they expected. Texas does not whisper that people are wanted there. It brings another basket, fills the glass, calls everyone y'all, and lets the message become impossible to misunderstand.
Texas is good. Everything is big.
Britain Fits Inside Texas has a habit of making familiar things look strangely undersized. A British visitor can spend a lifetime thinking a 2-hour drive counts as a proper journey. Then arrive here and discover that 2 hours may only move the blue dot from one side of the same metropolitan area to the other. The state does not merely feel spacious, it quietly resets the meaning of distance until the map back home begins to resemble a neighborhood brochure.
I don't think you
realize how big Houston actually is. In comparison, this is the size of the city of Paris compared to Houston. I think we've got them beat. Here is the state of Rhode Island. You can get through the state of Rhode Island quicker than you can get through the city of Houston. It's ridiculous. And finally, here is the state of Connecticut. It is slightly bigger than the city of Houston.
Everything is actually bigger in Texas. Starting with the gas station at home, the gas station in Texas. It's over 66,000 square feet, has 1,000 parking spots and over 100 gas pumps. I even met Bucky and we really hit it off. Even the cups are bigger. The store was so big I somehow managed to lose Andrew.
Texas covers roughly 695,000 square kilometers, while the entire United Kingdom occupies about 244,000. That means Texas is close to 3 times larger than the UK, which helps explain why its roads, vehicles, stores, ranches, and even restaurant parking lots seem designed with an extra setting Europeans were never shown. In Britain, land has been negotiated, divided, inherited, fenced, and argued over across centuries. Texas often looks as though the horizon was given room to finish its sentence. This scale changes more than scenery. It changes behavior. In London, Manchester, Amsterdam, or Paris, daily life teaches people to compress themselves. Apartments are smaller, streets are narrower. Parking spaces demand surgical precision, and buying furniture often involves measuring the staircase with the seriousness of a NASA launch. Texas offers the opposite sensation. The truck is larger because the road can hold it. The supermarket stretches farther because the land allows it. A family can buy groceries without carrying 3 bags onto a crowded train while apologizing to 6 strangers and 1 bicycle.
Yo, they were not lying when they said everything is bigger in Texas. Because why am I at the mall right now? And maybe I just been in New York for too long and we don't got malls like that. But this shit is so huge. I've been walking around for like 10 minutes trying to find a bathroom.
Yes, Texas is absolutely massive. It's almost 900 miles across. And if you start at the border of Texas and drove 900 miles in whatever direction you want to, this is how far you can travel.
That freedom becomes strangely addictive because physical space creates mental space. People begin choosing restaurants across town without treating the trip like a military operation. They stop checking whether a suitcase will fit inside the rental car. They walk into stores where the aisles do not force 2 shopping carts into a diplomatic crisis. Even the sky seems to participate, opening so widely above the highway that clouds look less like weather and more like background scenery commissioned by the state. European cities remain beautiful precisely because they preserve density, history, and walkable streets. Rome should not resemble Dallas, and Edinburgh would lose its character if someone replaced the old center with 6-lane roads and a parking garage. The point is not that one model must defeat the other. The fascination comes from experiencing a completely different idea of comfort, one built around access, movement, storage, and the simple luxury of not having to squeeze. That is why Texas begins occupying more than a visitor's camera roll. After several weeks, spacious living stops feeling excessive and starts feeling sensible. Returning to a tiny parking bay in Britain may suddenly resemble threading a pickup truck through a mailbox. The media often presents America as loud, wasteful, and oversized, yet being there reveals another side of that scale. It gives ordinary people room for larger homes, practical vehicles, well-stocked stores, outdoor gatherings, and journeys that turn the landscape itself into part of the experience. Texas is not embarrassed by its size. It uses every mile like a confident host pulling out another chair and saying there is still plenty of room. HEB changes everything. Some places reveal their culture through cathedrals, royal palaces, or centuries-old town squares. Texas can do the same thing inside a grocery store, somewhere between the fresh tortillas and a refrigerated wall long enough to make a British corner shop look like a kitchen cupboard. That sounds ridiculous until visitors enter HEB and realize Texans are not exaggerating when they speak about it with the affection normally reserved for family members who own a smoker. Founded in 1905, HEB grew from a small family grocery business into a Texas institution with more than 400 stores under its various banners. The number matters because this is far more than a regional curiosity placed conveniently beside a highway. It has become part supermarket, part community center, and part emergency command post with unusually good salsa. During hurricanes, freezes, and other major disruptions, the company has built a reputation for mobilizing supplies, kitchens, pharmacies, fuel, and relief efforts quickly. Texans do not simply shop there. They have seen the business show up when ordinary life suddenly stops working. That relationship can feel unusual to British visitors. Tesco operates thousands of stores across the United Kingdom, while Sainsbury's, Asda, Morrison's, Aldi, and Lidl form a familiar national landscape. People may prefer one chain because of price, location, or loyalty points, but supermarket affection usually has limits. Nobody expects a weekly grocery run to become a lesson in regional identity. H-E-B ignores that boundary completely. Local barbecue sauces sit beside Texas-grown products. Bakery counters smell as though restraint has been temporarily suspended, and store brand items often feel designed by people who understand that customers have opinions about queso. Shopping becomes a tour through local habits, rather than a silent mission to find milk and leave, before the parking meter begins another financial investigation. This is where the fascination becomes deeper than abundance. H-E-B reflects an American belief that convenience does not have to feel anonymous. A store can be enormous without losing its connection to the surrounding community. It can offer pharmacy services, prepared meals, fresh bakery items, household supplies, curbside pickup, and enough food for a tailgate without making customers feel as though they have entered a warehouse operated by distant algorithms. European urban life often rewards specialization. A Paris neighborhood may have a bakery for bread, a butcher for meat, a produce shop, a pharmacy, and a cafe, each with its own rhythm and expertise. That pattern is beautiful and deeply rooted. Texas responds with another kind of pleasure. One air-conditioned building where dinner, medicine, birthday cake, charcoal, flowers, and emergency queso can all be handled before the truck's engine cools down. The addiction begins when efficiency stops feeling dull. Visitors realize they can buy excellent food, discover regional products, chat with employees, and leave without spending half the day crossing town. H-E-B does not ask them to choose between convenience and personality. It places both in the cart, bags them carefully, and probably adds a tortilla sample. That is why British visitors remember a supermarket alongside barbecue and cowboy hats. H-E-B turns an ordinary errand into evidence that Texas has built daily life around comfort, community, and the cheerful belief that nobody should ever be more than one aisle away from dinner. Instant Tex in Texas does something remarkably clever with outsiders. It gives them a role before they have time to remain spectators. A cowboy hat is placed on someone's head, a firm handshake follows, and suddenly the person who arrived with a camera is standing there like an honorary local who may be asked to judge brisket before sunset. The transformation looks playful, yet underneath the humor sits one of Texas's strongest attractions. The culture is confident enough to be shared. Many famous European destinations are beautiful partly because they protect a clear line between residents and visitors. Tourists admire the guards outside Buckingham Palace, photograph gondoliers in Venice, and watch traditional ceremonies in Spanish towns, but they usually remain observers. Those customs belong to the place, while the visitor enjoys them from a respectful distance. Texas often removes that distance almost immediately. Nobody needs family roots stretching back 6 generations before trying the hat, learning y'all, entering a local bar, or being welcomed into a conversation. This openness feels especially powerful during an international event, such as the World Cup, when people arrive expecting to represent their own countries. Texas quietly offers them a second identity for the afternoon. They can still wear the jersey from home, yet the hat settles on top as though the state has added an expansion pack. By dinner, the accent may remain British, French, Japanese, or Korean, but the person is already defending smoked brisket with the seriousness of someone running for county office. Texas has 254 counties, more than any other state in America, and that enormous local patchwork helps explain why identity here feels both strong and welcoming. Amarillo does not present itself exactly like Austin, Houston does not behave like Fort Worth, and a small panhandle town may carry traditions that feel completely different from those along the Gulf Coast. However, the shared Texas character remains recognizable. Local pride, direct conversation, practical generosity, and the belief that visitors should leave with something more personal than a receipt. That is why the police challenge coin in the footage carries such weight. A stranger pays for drinks, begins a conversation, and then hands visitors a solid piece of local tradition from the Amarillo Police Department. In many places, an official symbol would remain behind a desk, inside a display case, or available only through a souvenir shop. Here it moves from one person's hand to another, turning a casual meeting into a memory that will probably survive longer than the vacation photographs. The addictive quality lies in that permission to belong. Texas does not demand that visitors understand every custom before joining the fun. It lets participation become the lesson. Wear the hat first, ask questions later, and try not to look surprised when somebody treats you like a neighbor. American culture is often described abroad as overly confident, but Texas reveals the generous side of that confidence. A culture uncertain about itself builds fences around its symbols. A culture comfortable in its own skin hands you the hat, pulls up another chair, and enjoys watching you discover why everyone else stayed longer than planned. Gas station Wonderland. A British motorway service station usually asks a modest question. Do Do you need fuel, coffee, or a bathroom before continuing the journey? Texas apparently heard that question and replied by building a small civilization beside the highway. Buc-ee's is technically described as a travel center, although calling it a gas station feels like calling the Dallas Cowboys merely a group of men who occasionally throw a football. This is where British fascination with Texas becomes wonderfully irrational. Visitors enter expecting a quick stop and emerge 40 minutes later carrying barbecue, pecans, jerky, branded pajamas, a smiling beaver mug, and enough snacks to survive a minor historical event. What should have been a pause in the trip becomes one of its main attractions, which reveals something important about the American approach to travel. Necessary moments do not have to remain unpleasant. Buc-ee's locations are famous for their enormous size, long rows of fuel pumps, extensive food counters, and exceptionally clean restrooms. Its Katy, Texas location even holds a Guinness World Record for the longest car wash, stretching 255 feet. That is longer than a Boeing 747-8, meaning Texans have somehow created a car wash with the dimensions of international aviation. Britain has Windsor Castle. Texas has a tunnel where an SUV receives the royal treatment. The real appeal, however, is not simply that everything is large. Texas has taken the most forgettable part of a road trip and filled it with comfort, entertainment, local flavor, and a slightly unreasonable amount of confidence. Instead of treating travelers as tired customers who will accept whatever's available, Buc-ee's behaves as though every person pulling off the highway deserves fresh food, spotless facilities, cheerful service, and 27 possible ways to consume beef. Compare that with many motorway stops along the M1 or M6, where travelers may find familiar coffee chains, packaged sandwiches, paid parking restrictions, and prices capable of making a simple snack feel like a small mortgage application. European service areas are generally functional because the aim is to return drivers to the road efficiently. Buc-ee's takes the opposite approach and makes stopping so enjoyable that the passengers may need to negotiate with the driver before leaving. This difference explains why the experience becomes addictive. It removes the low-level stress that usually follows a long drive. Nobody worries about finding a clean restroom, whether the children can eat something decent, or whether the store will have enough choices. The building answers those questions before anyone asks, then adds homemade fudge because Texas believes practical solutions should occasionally come coated in chocolate. There's also something deeply American about turning convenience into an experience available to ordinary families. Buc-ee's is not an exclusive resort, and no reservation is required. A truck driver, a family heading to a football game, and a World Cup visitor from Manchester can all walk through the same doors and enjoy the same absurdly complete roadside universe. That is why British travelers do not simply laugh at Buc-ee's, they become devoted to it. Texas has proven that even a bathroom break can carry ambition, personality, and enough barbecue aroma to ruin every ordinary gas station afterward. Friday Night Religion Britain gave the world football, yet Texas somehow found a way to make a school game feel like the opening ceremony of a national tournament. That may be the moment British visitors finally understand why Texans do not merely watch sports. They build whole communities around them, feed everyone beforehand, arrive wearing the correct colors, and treat a teenager's touchdown as though Congress has just passed something useful. The scale alone is enough to cause disbelief. Allen Eagle Stadium in North Texas was built with roughly 18,000 seats for high school football, while Katy's Legacy Stadium holds around 12,000 spectators. Those are not temporary bleachers beside a muddy field. They are full stadiums with video boards, press facilities, organized parking, bands, cheerleaders, and crowds large enough to make many professional clubs elsewhere feel slightly underdressed. For comparison, several historic lower league football grounds in England hold fewer people than Allen's high school venue. British school sports usually take place before families, teachers, and a few loyal friends standing near the touchline with an umbrella. Nobody expects the mathematics teacher to lead a marching band while half the town queues for barbecue outside. Texas takes the energy normally reserved for a major derby and pours it into Friday night, when the players still have homework waiting at home. Yet calling this obsession excessive misses the real reason it becomes so appealing. High school football is not only entertainment, it is one of the last public rituals capable of bringing an entire town into the same place. Parents, former students, local businesses, younger children, grandparents, coaches, and neighbors all participate. Some people know every player's statistics, while others barely understand the rules and simply enjoy seeing familiar faces under the stadium lights. That communal experience feels especially refreshing in an age when most leisure happens alone behind a screen. Texas offers the opposite arrangement. The crowd stands together, reacts together, sings together, and spends several hours remembering that a town is more than roads, houses, and tax records. Even the marching band receives real attention, which may be the most American sentence ever spoken, without mentioning apple pie or a bald eagle. European football creates powerful community identity as well, particularly in cities such as Liverpool, Glasgow, Dortmund, and Naples. However, that loyalty usually forms around established professional clubs with long histories. Texas introduces visitors to something more local and immediate. The person scoring beneath the lights might live 3 streets away, sit beside someone's child in chemistry class, or bag groceries on Saturday morning. That closeness makes victory feel personal without turning the event private. Everyone is invited to care, even those who arrived from another country a few days earlier. A British visitor may begin the evening wondering why thousands of people have gathered for a school game, then end it discussing the quarterback's decision-making like a retired NFL analyst who has consumed too much sweet tea. The attraction lies in how proudly Texas celebrates ordinary communities. It does not wait for fame to arrive before building excitement. The stadium, music, uniforms, traditions, and applause tell young people that their effort deserves to be taken seriously right now. That is why Friday Night Football stays in visitors' memories. Texas has turned school spirit into civic theater, and somehow the whole thing feels less like showing off than showing up for one another. Texas does not win people over by pretending to be perfect. It wins them through confidence, generosity, space, flavor, and communities that still know how to gather. British visitors may arrive carrying headlines, but they leave carrying cowboy hats, barbecue memories, and an uncomfortable question. Why does going home suddenly feel like leaving something better behind? Perhaps Texas is not simply a destination, but a reminder of what everyday life can still feel like. Subscribe for more journeys across America.